I'm actually really excited. Just over there is the Calanques de Cassis. I am really excited to go back over there. I crashed the boat. I'd like to say I've never crashed a boat. I crashed the boat. I was leaving the port, something got wrapped. I went to go get the thing that was wrapped, fell, and then in trying to like get up and quickly get back, I hit the wall. And it's embarrassing. And I've bent the front. Hopefully I haven't done any more damage, but yeah. Over there is where we're going. We should be able to do the turn now we're clear of these rocks, and the sail should catch wind. Go on. Beautiful. It's not far, we're only going about 5 miles. I need to clean the boat. I decided in the end I was just going to have to clean the boat on my way. Some people paddleboarding over. That rock's insane. It just looks like a big sand castle. It's just weird. Like, stop saying that. That island there is interesting for me. It's the first place I ever put an anchor down. On the boat I had before this, I went from there. Not like I've done this time. This time it's been like 2 stops really. The first time I went from there around to here, and I actually couldn't get back. There was a bit of swell. I had like this outboard motor on the boat, and I came to try to come through, but every time the boat hit a wave, the outboard motor came out of the water. So I ended up not actually coming back until like 3 years later, and here I am on my way. Why is the autopilot not cooperating? Anyway, once I get this sail back on and I'm in line, I need to tidy the boat. I've got quite a lot coming up the next few days. Some of it may be exciting. I might have like full crew to go to Mallorca. That's quite exciting, isn't it? So the boat might be a little bit tight, I don't know, but I feel like if I don't, I'll end up just not going. So the shame is I would like to stay here a little bit longer, but yeah, I'm sure sailing to the Balearic Islands is going to be quite nice. It's a crew, I'll have a crew on board, so it might be quite fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not really looking forward to this boat charter tomorrow because I'm not sure I'm going to meet their expectations. It's definitely going to help that I've bent the bow rail. So anyway, yeah, we're on the way to Cassis. This Calanque, when I get to it, it's honestly, it's beautiful. Like, I know it's over there, and I'm really excited to get to it. It's crazy how the landscape just changes. Like, you come around a corner and then it opens up this whole new landscape. So this is now all the way on to Marseille, and yeah, it's just a completely different type of landscape. But it's nice to, like, yeah, okay, there's a few scuba diving boats and stuff, but I just not really seeing any super yachts anymore, and that's really nice. Alright, so just to catch you up from the last episode, I was in the last episode in La Ciotat, and I needed to set off. So as always, I ended up setting off way later than I'd planned on setting off. And the day that I'm showing you now, I had like a boat trip booked the next day, so I really needed to hurry up and get that sorted. And in doing so, I spent quite a lot of the time in La Ciotat, etc., trying to get the boat ready. Just because I have no footage of it, I'll just explain quickly. While I was in La Ciotat, I met like another boat, and I think I mentioned very briefly somewhere, but there was a similar to my situation really, a guy who just had a sailboat, and then over the course of the last year or so, he now had like
a crew on the boat. It was about the same size boat, maybe a foot or two bigger, and they were just like all clubbing together and doing it together. So I'll say a bit more about it later in this video. And then also there was a a little incident with the law, which I'm going to do another video on because it's not the first time, and it would take too much of this episode. But after all of them things, I finally set off and I was on my way to Cassis. So where this picks back up is I've already picked the crew up. So the part that probably needs explaining a bit better is I'm saying about going to Mallorca, and then probably previously the last thing I've said is how the boat's broken. The plan was to do this boat trip. That would give me enough money to sort the rigging out, and remember this is back when I had the furler, so it just needed reattaching properly at the top at this stage. So it was probably doable, and there was a few crew on board as well. So that was the plan, and I needed the finances from doing this boat trip in order to do it. So now is probably the best time to admit that on the morning of the boat trip I had a problem with the engine, and the boat trip didn't end up going remotely to plan, and therefore didn't make me the money I thought it was going to make me. But the crew had already, like the people who were going to come crew, they'd already set off and was like on their way there. So I did have a bit of a nightmare, like thinking, oh, do I cancel it but they're on the way, or do I just try? I still had a bit of money left, so there was still a bit of hope. So the plan was to still go ahead. So I thought I'd better just explain that a bit better, because everyone's probably wondering why I'm on about going to Mallorca when last week I was stuck. It was a last ditch attempt to try and get out of France somewhere where I might have been able to carry on doing boat trips a bit easier. So So in Portmew, near Cassis, yesterday I picked up some crew, so
hello, hi.
They're going to help out on the boat, and in the next week we're going to stay here, do some boat repairs, and then teach these guys how to sail a little bit. Have we learned anything yet?
We learned the knot yesterday.
Not, yeah, we've learned.
We made a new knot,
Yeah.
our own.
Not, yeah.
Figure out the name.
Yeah. But we're getting there.
Yeah. So a couple of days doing a few boat repairs, so we're going to record that. We're going to try find a way to fix the Genoa, the boat next to me, which I'll show you after if I mess around with the GoPro here, we'll end in the water. But we are debating doing some, like, what's the word? Theft.
Oh,
Pirating.
yeah.
Salvaging. The boat that's behind, I was here 3 years ago and it was abandoned here then, and it's still as it was then. There's no, the roof's not even closed on it, there's no hatch in, and I
think so far. Or when I was here before, people were just salvaging all sorts of it. So if everyone else is doing it, we may as well see what we can get to. And then yeah, arrived into the port, and because I stayed here one winter 3 years ago, they arrived in the boat and they kind of looked a bit unsure, and then they was like, "Oh, you're back." And we're watching them now. It might be too early to see, but they're doing the rounds, going and checking everyone's boat papers and getting them to pay. But when they came to us this morning, they was just like, "Oh, do you want a space in the port?" So I said, "Yeah." They didn't say anything about paying. They just said, "Oh, when are you leaving?" So I said, "In about a week." And they said, "Oh, well, make sure you pop over for a beer." So we might get away with it, but we might not. Anyway, we've cleaned the boat, so that's the first time in ages the boats look as white as it does. Semi-white, fairly white.
Yeah.
And then yeah, we're going to go into the port now if the engine starts, which I'm hoping it's going to do. Got that some on charge, which should have done. And then have a barbecue and some wine.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
It's gonna be nice.
What are we doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're gonna clean a bit in the inside.
Inside.
Yeah.
Obviously now other people have to sleep on the boat, so like the
Has
big
to be
room where we have like some big bags, and yeah, I don't get away with just leaving all my dishes on the side anymore either, so.
We'll help each other out.
Yeah.
It's weird recording when there's other people there. Felt all, yeah, normally I'm just on my own, so yeah, it felt weird. But yeah, got some crew on for a few days, well, 2 weeks maybe. We're planning to head to the Balearic Islands, and yeah, I'm gonna teach them the bit I know, and it'll mean the boat can move a bit quicker, and the plan is to obviously get there to be able to try and earn some money, and they're going to help out with like trying to sell some boat trips there for a little bit before they then start some work that they've got. So there's one more joining as well, but yeah, it's quite nice to have some other people on the boat too. Just means I'm feel like weird recording stuff, but yeah. Found my old friend. It always used to be an octopus when I was here a couple of winters ago, and here he is. Don't know if you can see him. Kind of put me off going in the water. I remember when I was here before, I was trying to spear fish, and I've never managed to spear a fish. But I was in the water, I had the gun pointed at the only fish I'd seen for like an hour, and it was in the winter too, my legs were freezing, and then one of them just came right in front of the spear gun, and I know you're thinking, well, you should have shot it, but I don't think I could touch it afterwards if I did that. Alright, so it's morning number 2 in Portmew, or 3 for me. Yeah, today's plan, got to do some sorting on the inside of the boat to try and make some room. Obviously if people come on the boat, they tend to have luggage if you're moving from one place to another. And then yeah, if you're like wondering why I decided to have some people come do the trip, I think I feel like I'd kind of just got stuck where I was. Not stuck in the sense that I couldn't move if I wanted to, but as summer ended and like I stopped being able to really sell boat trips and stuff, it just felt like kind of everything had come to an end. And this was, if I did this, like an actual sail somewhere different. And as I say, I hope I can then sell some boat trips when I get to Mallorca, and if not, I'll carry on towards Gibraltar, and then from there I'll have to decide what to do. But this is like, I'm hoping it's going to give me a boost, because I think otherwise I'd have just like sat, and by having people on the boat I don't get the opportunity to just sit. But yeah, they're quite, I put like an advert and I got quite a lot of responses for it, and well, not an advert but like an offer, I guess, saying like going from, like I said Marseille at the time because people would know what that was, Marseille over to the Balearic Islands, probably Mallorca. If anybody wants to join and you're looking for some experience, because these guys would have just been in Antibes and looking for boat work, so an easy way to get some experience is to just go get on a boat. I am quite against like the big yachts and stuff where they get people on the boat to like work, and then they get them to do it for free because they need to gain experience. This isn't really like that. It's because we're just going on a boat trip and then all contributing. And if I was just here on my own, I could very easily fall into this like, oh, tomorrow, and then end up spending my days just walking to the shop because it's a distraction from the things I have to do on the boat. So I think that's the best way I can explain it. For them, yeah, they get to get a bit of experience that they can put down. They get to get some sea miles, which is what loads of people are looking for. And and yeah, so far it's been pretty good. Like quite a few people messaged when I'd offered to take anyone over there, but like a lot of them were like, they were on the same sort of thing, whereas these guys, it's quite similar. They're on a budget too, so we know we're going to have to eat quite cheaply. So yeah, I think it will be good. And yeah, finishing cleaning the boat yesterday and then all going beer and then opening a beer and being able to cheers is actually something that used to be like, what's the need in doing a cheers? But it's quite nice to have some people on there to have a beer with. So yeah, and today we're going to go over into the next little clank. It's a bit like a fjord, if you imagine a fjord from Viking lands, like Norway, Iceland, fjords. There's a really big one just next to it, so we're going to go into that. And then yeah, it's just, I think I've probably said before, when I was looking at doing this, there's a little documentary called Chasing Bubbles. It's the best one by far, and the guy on there, like I used to just watch it on repeat sometimes. Like I could watch it once a week, and then anybody who hadn't seen it, I'd make them watch it too. And not everyone gets it, because not everyone would want to come live on a boat, but in it he was saying how when he was sailing around on his own, the experiences and the cool bits you get to see. Like this port, it's my favourite one by far. It's like, it's so nice here, and like last night, it's like really peaceful, and you get to share that with other people. It feels like you're actually sharing it. What does that even mean? I don't know, but you know, when something good happens, like if you was going along and some dolphins come to the front of the boat and you're on your own, you're like, wow, some dolphins. And yeah, for me, I'd probably try scramble to find where I'd put the GoPro to show you guys, but it'd just be nice to be able to turn and like dolphins and share that experience rather than it mostly being on my own. So I am looking forward to it. I think it should be quite good, but I'm gonna go wake them up so we can get some stuff done. So we're gonna try fix these lights at the front because the ones we're using require a battery, and the battery is like €6 and lasts 12 hours, so that's €6 every time you want to use the boat in the night time. So what's happened is, when we did it in a rush, when we was in Ville New Lubet, we got them on and we didn't seal them because we was always planning to seal them after, and then obviously we've hit some waves, and what's probably happened is some salt water's got inside. So we're going to take it apart, try clean the bits of metal which I imagine is going to be fairly corroded, and then see if we can get it back on, because it'd be nice if we didn't have to replace both lights because they're like €40 each. So that's the plan, and this time when we get them on, we're going to cover it in sealant, even if it looks a little bit ugly after, just so it works, because it's going to be cheaper. So step one, we're going to take off the light itself. I'm going to try not to drop any screws in the water. Yeah, you can see already, like, just looking at the screw, it's the inside of this light's probably going to be a mess. So that light's off, and it's not corroded in here, so it's going to be behind this part. But
Oh yeah.
the batteries are like €6 every time. So, and I've had about 3 lots of them. The sail knocks them off, and then we have to get some more. We found the problem. I'll cut him off and show you. Which wire?
So it's the brown one. That's the problem, or?
That's the problem.
Ah. Oh.
That's now a problem too. Did we get that one?
Yes.
Ah!
Oh yeah. Now it's. Is it like waterproof?
Probably not that waterproof.
Oh.
Right.
Jump in.
Am I going to be able to get back out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, or yeah, just have to walk under the.
There's octopus in this water. Oh, it's nice and cool.
Mm.
Oh, I can't reach it.
Take it with your foot, so you don't have to. Nice.
What's the odds of that ever working again?
Yeah. We can try.
So we're going to put that in some rice. See if it works afterwards.
Rice. Can it not just be in the sun? I don't know. Maybe rice is better.
But I don't know if we're better off putting it in the actual normal water first instead of the
Yeah.
salt water.
Yeah.
Do you want to do us a favour?
Yeah.
Do you want to like take that to the sink and just like fill it and like just rinse it out?
Fill it.
Yeah, fill the sink and
Oh,
like
yeah.
just give it a bit of a, maybe get the salt water out of it and then try dry off the normal water.
Okay.
So yeah, the problem, first problem before the new problem, was that. So water's got in there, and you see how that's just absolutely corroded. So I reckon we can, if that's not got too drowned, we might be able to get that one working. Let's see what the other one's doing. So this one, if you see, the bulb itself's corroded a bit. So what we're going to try to do is, oh no, yeah, see where the bulb fits into the fitting there. So we're going to take out that fitting, try and use some wire wool and see if we can get all of the rust off, because I've tried to find one of them before and they're impossible to find. That's what it used to have at the front, and now, yeah, hopefully we can get that working again. Can't remember the last time the boat was this clean. The girls have gone to the shop to get some wine because we run out of wine. So I find myself cooking, but I don't mind that. But yeah, the spare bed now has been sorted. All the sheets have been washed, etc. So that's good. Two are in there. Sofa area's kind of done. So one in there, and then I even managing to keep my own V-berth at the front, which has got some fresh sheets on for the first time in a long time. So that's good. Having quite a few people on board, I come inside and find half the world is charging, and obviously I'm used to like sparingly just don't charge anything most of the time, but should be fine. The boat don't need to go anywhere today, so they are charging up like power banks and stuff, so that's actually quite sensible. While the sun's on it, it makes sense. Yeah, we'll see how they do coming back from the shop, because my always concern with something like this is obviously I live off a really small budget, and that budget's like slim to none. So if they come back and they've bought loads of expensive prawns, we're gonna be in trouble, aren't we? But hopefully they don't. Yeah, and they're going to pick up some wine, and then one more of them is arriving today. Meant to be a bit earlier, but it's going to be a bit later. Regarding boat progress today, yeah, it's just been a big reshuffle inside the boat just to clear out the spaces to be able to fit 5 of us on board. 4 of us on board, and then a lot of people said that I know, like, not saying anyone specifically, but when I said I was going to do this, like, you can't fit that many people on the boat. You can't, like, you can, and it, you know, it was like a really big motivator when I was in the Ciotat and seeing that boat next to me, which I don't think I sent them a link to my YouTube, so I can probably say it safely. The inside of that boat, it might have been slightly more practical, but it definitely weren't nicer. Do you know what I mean? You know, people, it shouldn't be about like how nice. Obviously, if it's nice inside, better. But ideally, most of the time you'd spend outside. But yeah, inside's had a fairly big sort today, which needed to happen to be able to fit everything. Yesterday morning, the pump got turned off somehow, and then because of that, we woke up to a wet floor, which, you know, I keep saying I never want to have to do this again. Well, I did, had to do it one more time. And yeah, then the lights on the front, there's current going through. I can't really tell until it's dark whether one of them at least is working yet. So the good news is, after cleaning up the connections on the lights, they are working again. I couldn't tell in the day, and I tried to like put them in as much shade as I could, and it didn't seem like they were on. But waited until the night time, switched them on, and would have been a bonus if one worked, but both of them are working again. So now I've just got to put them back together, and this time make sure I seal all the parts so they don't get wet again. So that's this morning's job. So not the neatest job. What I'll do after is I'll use a knife to take off any excess silicone, but I'm just going to paint over that whole area anyway. I'd rather it just not get water in than be super neat, but the silicone I bought somehow came without like the nozzle, so I had to like just put it on really, really thick. But I think they're on now. Just need to put a few screws back in, and then yeah, job done.
Later that day, we took the boat out and did a bit of a like crash course into like what to do, and then going from there, we was going to do that for a few more days, but then disaster struck. So it wasn't quite disaster just yet, but it was coming. The following morning, I'd come to get a weather report and was pretty much ready to go. The plan was to go from where I am here, not so far just after Marseille, towards Port St. Louis, where it's quite good there for getting stuff done. And I was going to, from there, try to get this furler sorted. Because back then, as I say, we had a furler and it was attached. And in light winds, it had done all right. So it'd actually done, I'd gone a reasonable distance already with it. But I didn't want to really risk it in heavy wind. So really I wanted the actual proper attachment putting back on at the top, and there would have been a bit easier to do it, even if it meant finding someone to lend like a harness, etc. But I didn't have any of that stuff and it was quite hard to find from here. So I'd come to get a weather report, was probably fairly ready to go. I'd spent the day before doing a bit of a crash course into like what to do, and we were just going to go slowly round towards Barcelona, where then that would have been the biggish sail then, because a lot of it you can do in the daytime. And the reason for having some crew on was that we could do 2 on 2 off on a night time, so that the boat could carry on moving on the night as well, but without having to really go out to sea until we got to Barcelona. As I come to get the weather report, the guy from the port, the harbour master captain, he came and said, before I even got a chance to say anything, "Jay, have you seen the weather?" And I could tell by his face it weren't going to be good news. And there were storms coming, there was wind coming, and it had kind of changed to what it looked like when I'd originally looked at what it was going to be like. But the storms were the big worry, because there were quite a lot of them forecast, and they did happen, because I was obviously here after and saw how they ended up happening. So in the end, I had to make the decision. Did I want to try set off and then end up getting stuck for the whole winter somewhere where I weren't sure if I'd be able to find protection easily? At least here, and I know where I am. And I think it was the right decision not to go. But what happened then was, I had to go break the bad news that the weather was probably going to be too bad to go. Did that. Told them I'd drop them in La Ciotat, because here it's far to the train station, like far. So took them to La Ciotat in the boat, dropped them off, and the plan was to get back the same night, because the wind was going to be coming the next day. However, I didn't manage that. I didn't really fancy going back out in the dark. Planned to get out of there quite early enough in the morning, but the wind came a little earlier than I was expecting the next day. And then as I was coming back, that's when I had the big problem, and I'll post a link to them videos where I broke the furler. So what happened with that was, as it was, the wind was coming straight towards me from the direction I wanted to go and creating some fairly big waves, and I was going through where there's an island on one side, a little island on one side, and that big rock that I showed you earlier in the video on the other. And as I'm trying to get through there, the boat's just not really moving. And I'm sure it was moving a bit, but I thought I'm going to have to put a sail up, because I can't go in 1 knot an hour while the engine's on as full as it would go. Would have taken too long and I'd just run out of fuel. So Kate turned, came back, hid behind the island, went to put the genera up, and then I was going to put the mainsail up too. Reefed, and then as I got the genera up, the autopilot just stopped working, and the boat turned around, caught wind, and I had control of it, but there was no way of I was messed around for a while trying to get the autopilot back on, but I was messing around near some like shallow water, an island on one side, and as I'd left the port that I was in, La Ciotat, I saw a boat come take my space, and that's the first time I've ever not been able to get off the dock on my own. Someone had to come like give me a push, because as I was trying to get off, the wind was just blowing me back onto the dock. Looking back, I shouldn't have gone, but I did. Didn't expect it to go the way it did, but it did. And as I'd then gone around the other side of the island, tacked out, it was doing all right. But then the plan was to just get to where I was going not as quickly as I could, but as safely as I could, and try not let the boat go off course, because that's what ended up happening. And then it hit as I'd gone quite far out, done the tack, come back in. When you've got a gust of wind, sometimes it creates just a slightly bigger wave than the others. And going over that, the Genoa flipped across to the other side, and then just as it had got to the other side and I was coming back down the wave, a big gust of wind sent it flying right back across, and the force of that snapped the Genoa at the top. All of the Genoa and the furler ended up in the water. It was quite dangerous, and as I say, there's a bit of a video on it just here, so that's what happened with that. And then from there I had to cut it off because it was too risky. It all ended up in the water, and I had to just get back to here with the motor. But luckily I'd tacked out, so I could do it with the waves slightly more onto the side rather than just beating into them. And it took me about 3-4 hours to get back, tied up, and I've been here ever since. So that brings us to the end of season 1 of this channel. So thank you to everyone who's supported me this far, and everybody who subscribed, watched the videos, liked, commented and shared, etc. There will be a few more episodes where I just re-explain some of the things that happened in season 1, some of the things I learned, some of the things that I did wrong, some of the things that I'd do better, etc, etc, etc. And season 2 picks up from Portmew, where I am and have been ever since, and tells a story of being stranded on a sailboat in the south of France for the winter. So I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.